Oh, thus had a major impact on for the acceleration of the modern form of political and results and a new mass culture fed by the mass media, theatre, the introduction of cinema, and the draw of a new visual age. The important aspect was the growth of mass leisure, first time in history, and doing large-scale spectacle of sports. Oh, quite interesting. This was this all I was my last video. Before I was gonna add a bit at the end, talking about in the Neolithic, before we invented agriculture, we used to have actual like much more free time because hunter gathering actually produces, though it produces less food overall, it's less time consuming if you want to just feed one person. Like everyone has to be a hunter gatherer, but it takes much less work to be a hunter gatherer than to grow food, which is quite interesting. Important aspects were grown in mass leisure in the first time in history. Sorry. The French writer Charles Pingu declared in 1900 that the world has changed more than in the period 13 years that it has emerged into 2 million since Christ. Well, that's how history works. That's how history works, mate. Such far-reaching and unpredictable changes created a new sense of acceleration in history and of the tradition of human society and culture. The Fin was a time of radical innovation in thought, where the 19th century has been increasingly dominated by the liberals in the political, by the materialism and science in culture. Part of the generation of the 1880s and 1890s rejected such values, replacing them with a new ordinary tied to subjective emotionality, nationalism and virtuism. Subjective emotionality, and virtuousness. If you ever debated the fascists, you know those are the core beliefs of them. No, subjective emotion and not. Nice to say that fascists were always like this. The attempt to reverse domination value protect. Sorry. The attempt to reverse dominating values products what one historians that called the intellectual crisis of the 1890s. The intellectual crisis of 1890. The concept was varied in the drawback. The attempt to drastically involve of new thinking, writing, and artistic thought, and to keep in mind of those new trends were not generally accepted at the time by most of the intellectual and artistic society. Most famously and influential harbinger of the new trend was the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who preached death of God. I thought God is dead. Anyway, and characterized reputation 19th century mathematics, materialism, and rationalism. Nietzsche rejected what he called herd philosophy of modern democracy and colonization, with especially the will to power. He espoused the will to power of the primordial. Nietzsche was a weird guy. He inspired fascism, but he also inspired anti-fascism. He was wacky. He was a wacky guy. Should I look at the sources for this book? Nah. Cultural transformation in the physical. Instead called of the transformation of values. Sorry. Instinct and called for the transformation of values and the dominance of healthy emotion and the instinct of repression with the goal of achieving the Ubermensch, the overman, and a supercar of human being who had achieved self-mastery and high moral that balanced creative thought and feelings. I didn't know Nietzsche was that emotional. I mean, he was an incel. More boring, due to the late 19th century, there was a movement award from radicalism and positive among number of particularly German, Italian, and French, but also less degrees in other countries. This most varied philosopher affected the turn of the 19th century was the French thinker Harry Bergson, who La Evolution à Créature, 1907, placed the virtual instinct, which terms virtue and the very old life creation of free choice and dignity, including practice on materialism and determination. Okay. Though rewarded efforts were made to refine the reforming reactionism and positive thought in England and some philosophy circles elsewhere, a group of revolution against positivism faced neo ideas opposed to life. Thus, there's some question of theory of values of the Lebensphilosophy replaced rationalism, material, and privation, and emphasized a new value and the importance of new morals throughout the definition. The tendency even called to affect heterodox Marxism. By the turn of the 19th century, numbers of Marxism began to infer ethics, better country to and then put moral education in society. What? That one went through one of your head after that. I'm gonna have to read that again. These new replaced the rational material and probably a new value of the importance of a new moral. However, various defined, the tendencies eventually came in effect to affect heterodox Marxism. By the time of the 19th century, old Marxists began to emphasize ethics contrarily to the master teaching and the importance of moral education in the society. Oh, interesting. The revolution against positivism was clearly made it into where leaders of neo-idealism philosophy was Benedetto Croce rejected many rationalism and rejected the truth of some extra faith. Such one could not know at the time that history would develop. Neo-idealism rejected more of the Italian lighter subjectives and was a marked Volta organization. Also, the exact new emphasis on biology and physics made in German authority. From neurobiology, Hanven, the older ethics of Jacob won the physics and will see the product. How about we read the sources just once, and then we end this video. Contrarily, there was often a climate at rise of Nietzsche's and not his self a fascist. Contrary to what was often claimed after the rise of Nazism, Nietzsche was not himself a fascist, generally and century not a Nazi sympathizer, even though aspects of his thought did contribute to fascist doctrine. On his influence, see achieved Nietzsche's legacy in Germany, 1918, and in German science, Nietzsche and fascism, history of Europe, ideas. See another main work called Jacob, Revolution, Humanism, and History of Modern Italy, and okay. I want to read the other footnotes. What does this say? The account of the invention and innovation of this period was made by the founder of M.Tech and P. Potter, ed. Findersicle and its legacy, Cambridge 1993. The term was coined by Schoen, which rejected the intellectual background of fascist doctrine in the term was collected by the fascist document in his fascism. Okay, interesting. I'll read all the footnotes. No, footnotes. Okay, that was all the footnotes. Bye.